That should work.
That should do it.
Yeah.
Well, happy holiday season here as we're in a little quieter environment than maybe we were the last week.
A lot quieter.
So, big to-do going on at the Muni today, so we decided we would let them revel in their Tom and Jerry's and their holiday cheer, and George and I would... nice warm house.
I went and met
cozy.
my doctor the other day. She said your blood sugar is fine. I just knew an afternoon with Tom and Jerry's would ruin all that. And so it's...
Wow, you got a big day tomorrow you got to get ready for.
A big day tomorrow. We got the Army-Navy game tomorrow, and at the Muni, there is going to be kind of a sponsorship of, I understand, a good deal of porchetta sandwiches and the fixings. The game starts at 2 o'clock. What time they start serving, I don't know, but I'm sure it'll be around that time. But if you wanna have a good time with, well, there's a couple of people that kind of support the Army, and then there's a bunch of sailors and Marines that hang out there. So it's we have a pretty good time though. No two ways.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The porchetta sandwiches sound delightful. Well, maybe I'll sneak out there towards the end of the game. Maybe we'll see how the end of the. After 3 hockey games and the start of the basketball tournament, we'll see what kind of what I've got left in me by that point.
Yeah, I see you're sucking down the lozenges there. So
yeah, I got pretty sick this week, so I don't know why that occurs.
I just tell you, one of the reasons is you're at a school and you got all those kids there, and they are petri dishes. And, and I, since I retired, I got sick. I got sick as soon as my grandson started going to preschool, but now I'm kind of stable again.
So
yeah.
We'll be all right.
Yeah.
So
okay.
let's stay with the Army-Navy thing, though.
Let's do it right there.
So obviously, you'd say after the 2 seasons that the 2 teams have had, that Army would be the favorite.
Oh, I think they are, and in fact, I think. And we have 2 trains of thought there. Is this going to be the traditional Army-Navy game, the 17-10 type thing? And I think both offenses have a little bit more explosions. Of course, both defenses are pretty solid. And if I take a look at, especially from what I understand, the starting lineups will be, the Navy defense is going to be stiff. And the Army offense. 5 leading linemen are all conference, first or second team, and there's 3 or 4 that are on the Navy team as well. So this is 2 really talented teams, and they got 19 wins between them. Army's 11-1, and Navy's 8-3. Navy, if they beat Army and beat the bowl game, will win 10 games for the first time forever, and it's.
So that does answer my question, because I did not see if Army had won last week, but the fact that they're 11-1 tells me that they did win last week.
No, they beat up Tulane in the AAC championship game and dominated.
Okay.
And it's just, and I was surprised by that, because Navy took care of Tulane took care of Navy when they played, but this is. It comes down to Captain America. That's their quarterback, Bryce Daly. Bryce Daly has 29 touchdown passes, which is tied for 29 touchdowns, which is tied with Genty out in Boise State. And this kid can really play. He is hardcore. He's the quarterback. He's 6'1", 220. They asked him what is his greatest thrill last week, and he says, I got my direction where I'm going. I've got my postment. What's your posting? I'm going to be an infantryman. This guy is going to be an infantry officer, and you take a look at him. He will be able to lead because people will follow him. He is that capable of a young man and a great quarterback. Both offenses are double wing. Now, they talk about the wing T and the wing T, and the Delaware T, apparently, according to what I remember, they're distinctly 2 different things, and I kind of always knew they were, because the Delaware T generally has a flanker and 2 running backs in the backfield, but this is kind of what they have taken. This was a wing T and put it, and really spruced it up so they could spread the field. and they will spread the field and run a fullback dive over and over again. So they will run the same basic plays. Both offenses, as you well know, are based on a fullback, and the fullback is their power drive, and he's oftentimes the only back in the backfield. And Navy has a cruncher, and Army has a cruncher. So it's just a matter of And the other thing I want to bring up about this game, and I brought this up at the Michigan-Ohio State game, there are nuances to this game that we just have no control over. And it's just like, this is the Army-Navy game. These guys are going to go into service. A lot of them are going to go into career service, and they're going to remember this game for the rest of their career. And every time they meet a soldier or a sailor that was on the opposite team, they're going to use this as somewhat at bragging rights. But these kids, there's none of them going to go to the pros. There's nobody that gets NIL money. There's nobody that is going to join the transfer portal to play football somewhere else. These guys are there. The only thing they get for playing 4 years of football is 5 years of military service, and they know that going in. And these are very disciplined, kids, and they know what they want to do. So
I can't say it any better than that.
Yeah.
So with all that said, you're saying final score.
I'm gonna go right down, and I'm gonna say it's 30-21. But for 51 points in an Navy game, that is something. The other thing is a tradition. Last Monday, Army put up a great big effigy of a ship, 20 foot long, and they burned it. And as they're burning this, they got the marathon running team. Apparently, Army has one, and they started a 300-mile trek carrying the game ball from West Point down to Washington, D.C. Once they got to the outskirts of Washington, they were joined by a Navy squadron that helped them run it in, and they brought it in. But I mean, these kids are serious, and it's they have things like prisoner exchange. The Army has a number of people that have studied at Annapolis and vice versa, and so before the game, they go out with their prisoners and exchange them, so the cadets and the midshipmen can go sit with their fans. They don't have to sit with their opposing teams. It's one of these things. And then of course, we watched Ohio State and Michigan, and it was filled with guts and glory and tear gas and flags. Here, the two teams go over and sing each other's alma mater. The loser sings first, and the winner sings second. And the whole idea behind this thing is, you want to sing second. Also, there is this. This is the Commander-in-Chief trophy. The winner will get that trophy, and apparently, and I mean, we don't think about it too much, but they hold this dear. And I listened to a Navy podcast, and they were talking to people, and he says, we've lost 3 of these games. I'm a senior. I don't want to lose another one. And they are fit to be tied. So they're going to go after this, and there is as much mysticism about the Army-Navy game as any other game that we play in this country. No two ways. I'm not sure what else I can say about the thing. They have a march-in about 11 o'clock on Saturday, and the march-in has the brigade of midshipmen and the Corps of Cadets come in, every one of them. I talked to a lady that went to West Point, and she says, football games, that was required activity. You had to be in the hospital. You had to be really deathly sick, or something drastic had to happen. Otherwise, you were required to go to the football game, and they are required for their march on and be with their unit and all the rest of that. I mean, this is some serious stuff. As the fullback for a guy named what the heck was his name? Daba Fontana. Daba Fontana is the fullback, and he is like one of those blocks that weighs about 240 pounds and can run really fast. really, really fun. He says, in terms of college football, this is the epitome. All the rest of the stuff is gone. This is just complete football, no politics. The money is handled somewhere else. These kids are there for one reason, to win the Army-Navy game. That's all they have to do, and they're pumped. I'm excited about this game. This is going to be a lip ripper, and both teams have so much power. They're so good. I mean, 19-3 for the year. That's not, or 19-4 for the year. That's not bad.
Makes it fun, makes it interesting.
It does.
I don't know if it makes it more interesting because it's always a big deal every year anyway. So
This is the 125th meeting, and I think Navy's up 8 or 9 or something, but they won 10 in a row not too long ago, and the last 4 of 5 have gone to the Army Mule. And and then of course they pull shenanigans all the time, and I always like to tell the story about when Army's Special Operations went down to Annapolis to steal their goat, and they brought down their outfit with their girlfriends, and they drove down there, and the girlfriends, all of a sudden the goats were guarded by a group of Marines from Annapolis. And Marines, being what they are, gentlemen and such, when the girls came and said, we have trouble with our car, they went for it. And while they were fixing these girls' car and being, Marines, the special ops team broke into the building and stole their goat and took back to West Point. And he wouldn't give it back, and they got in a lot of trouble. And finally, they had a guy that swung a little bit of weight, and he used to be the superintendent of the school and commander of the Army and now president of the United States, and that was Dwight Eisenhower, and he made him give the goat back. But no, they'll go to any end to steal a goat or a mule or any of that. So yeah, hey, they have a good time, those guys.
yeah, that was good. Okay, we're gonna take just a little break right here.
So. We back online here?
Oh, I think we're ready to go back. Anything else, Army, Navy?
Yeah, I just want to go through here. There's Navy has a very good quarterback. His name is Blake Harvath, and he's been buggered up towards the end a little bit, but he's full go right now. My question for you is 2 or 3 weeks, probably pretty close to a month of being full-size quarterback. Does he get a little rust?
Oh, I think timing-wise, maybe a little bit.
Okay.
But I would say give him a quarter, and the rust will be gone.
Well, because I talk about Bryson Daly all the time, but when I take a look at Harvath, he's just as good a quarterback. He's a little bit smaller. He's a little bit quicker as well, and he's got a real fine arm. I don't think that Daly has thrown the ball over a 15-yard pass. Maybe all season he hasn't thrown a whole lot of passes.
Sure.
But Harvath is perfectly capable of running a spread offense and flinging it down the field. He can also carry the ball. So a good triple option quarterback.
And big plays can happen.
And big plays can happen. But keep those guys in mind because they will be fun to watch.
We're going to resume that camera in just a bit. Everybody's going to be wondering what's going on.
What is going on?
So, well, there's some other big college football games going on.
There are,
including Idaho and Montana State tonight.
I'm just going to show you this.
Oh my gosh!
That's 47 games. That's all the games, including the quarters.
And I wasn't even going to start with those, but yeah, the bowl games start Saturday with the tuna fish bowl and the whatever. No, let's see. The first game, I gotta get a little late here because I'm getting Cricket Celebration Bowl at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
South Carolina State against Jackson State. Then the S4S Salute to Veterans Bowl with South Alabama and Western Michigan. That's on Saturday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then football's on forever.
Well, I'm interested in the Memphis West Virginia game for a couple of reasons, but this is the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. I love coffee. I just thought coffee finally has a thing here.
That game caught your fancy. I have to admit.
The coffee bowl would probably be all right. But
Hey,
no,
but you must like mayonnaise on your sandwich, don't you?
folks, I mean, you take a look at this, and I'm going to keep this around and check them off as I get the score from the paper, because I'm not capable of watching this many football games, I don't think.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Okay, the Gophers are going to the Duke Mayo Bowl.
They are.
That's going to be played January 3rd.
Yeah, that's right.
Why are we playing it after New Year's? What are they doing?
They didn't win a couple of big games, but I'll tell you what, Virginia Tech is not going to roll over and play dead. This is a pretty good football team. I've seen them play a couple of times this year, and,
Minnesota's Gophers don't lose bowl games with PJ.
PJ he's what they do on this Mayo thing is if you win, they take a great bucket of mayo and throw it over your head. And so you look like a mock, I don't know, tuna fish sandwich or something.
He'd take it if that's what it is.
He would love it. And they'd take the picture, and they'd take a picture, and he'd mount it on his shelf somewhere. So, but I guess the key is that you're starting to see some things for the Gophers for next year already. But Darius Taylor is going to come back.
That's what he said.
He said.
That doesn't mean anybody's offered him enough money yet.
No, I understand that, but it's.
I'm serious. Coy Parrish announced at the same time that he was coming back. Don't know if anybody's offered him the right amount of money yet. But I did see that we signed the quarterback from, oh my gosh, how can I forget?
Georgia Tech.
From Georgia Tech, the backup quarterback or third string quarterback from Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and this guy's no schmuck either. He's 6'3" and about 250
He was the 18th rated quarterback in his class 3 years ago, so.
Well, I mean, he just completed his sophomore year, so we got 2 years.
So we got 2 years.
Yeah.
We'll see what the heck happens.
We'll see what happens, but
when a bowl game would do even better, right? Because there'd be more money in the coffers.
Can you see all these athletes around? Well, Minnesota's losing their quarterback. Well, I'll transfer there. Well, they need a starting guard. Well, maybe I'll go over there. Let's see what they have, and doing all the rest of that. There is none of that in the Army-Navy game. None of that.
So, in the old days, it was, how much money do you get from the bowl games? Remember this?
Yes.
Okay, if you make it to the FBS championship game, you got $14 million for the winner, $10 million for the whatever it was. Yeah. Okay. Well, that money is like a pittance now. And I hate to say it that way, but that bowl money is kind of a pittance. Teams used to, in the Big Ten and the SEC, used to base their budgets on that money because, well, how many teams are we going to get in? And now they got so much TV money, they've got so much other stuff.
They do, and on top of that, they're still going to come to you and I because we're fans and say, "Would you like to contribute?
Send some money, would you?
Would you? So we can help give these kids hundreds of thousands of dollars, as it turns out. So and it's really kind of a trading stock, but it's going to be that way for a while until Saudi figures out what to do about it.
FCS,
yes,
1AA, Idaho at Montana State tonight. Probably in some frigid temperatures. Is Montana State in Bozeman or Missoula? I can never keep them straight.
I think they're in Missoula.
All right, so I'll go. That's at 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN.
I'll have to watch a little of that.
Then tomorrow a triple header because these are the quarterfinal games. And of course, these 3 games all involve teams of what we would call local flavor. Incarnate Word at South Dakota State at 11 a.m. Two-time defending champions. UC Davis at South Dakota at 2 o'clock. And then, of course, Mercer at North Dakota State at 2:30. That one's on ABC. All 3 of those games, or the last 2 games, will be played in domes. So the cold weather won't have a big effect.
And in the old days, Army-Navy game was the only one that was played this weekend. Well, that's not. How can they
tread? How dare they tread on Army?
But now there are so many bowl games. That it's really pretty amazing. Now as long as we got all these bowl games, let's talk about the championship bracket.
Let's do that. Yeah. So, first of all, I have to say that I was a big fan of the 12 games, or 12 teams. But I am going to agree with a lot of the people who are now upset, and that put me in the category of upset on how these things are how the top 4 teams are determined.
Are you talking specifically about SMU and Alabama?
No, I'm specifically talking about how in the frick does Boise State and Arizona State become the 3rd and 4th seeds?
Well, I'm not
That's
sure.
a bunch of baloney.
I'm not sure about the 3rd, but I tell you what, I watched Boise State lose to Oregon, the number 1 team, by a pittance. 1 score, and
But that doesn't mean you should get to be the number 3 seed because you played in the Mountain West Conference. I am sorry, that I was upset. I'll be honest with you. It's not Boise State. I was mad when Miami was the number 3 team because they were going to be the best team in the ACC. And now we've got Clemson in there who was, yes, won their conference and lucked out and kicked a 56-yard field goal as time expired. It was exciting as heck. I get it. But I just... Things will be revamped. Things will be adjusted next year.
And it was going to be. But I'll tell you, having all these teams in the tournament, I think is really exciting for college football. I think, sooner or later they're going to sort this out. And face it, there's going to be somebody in here that's not going to be happy.
I'm not worried. I'm more worried about the seeding of it. The 12 teams is fine. SMU getting in over Alabama was Alabama and SMU probably play 10 times. Alabama probably wins 8, maybe 9 of those games. I think the committee looked at it and said, Alabama's got 3 losses. We can't put a 3-loss team in, even though theoretically maybe they belong there. SMU probably saved their bacon by making a comeback in the 4th quarter, and it's hard to believe that you can save your season by absolutely stinking up the joint for 3 quarters and then play 1 good quarter and they put you into the tournament.
Okay, and then we have Texas at number 5 and Ohio State at number 6.
Yeah, so Texas gets Clemson, and I feel sorry for Clemson.
I do too.
Because they're going to get throttled. And then you got number 6, you got Penn State. They get SMU. And I wonder if SMU's got to go to Penn State, play in the cold weather. Could be cold weather. Could be. I can't say for sure. I don't have the forecast for December 20th or 21st yet, but I'll say this: that's a tough goal. It's going to be interesting to see how they feel about these games in the cold. And I'm not saying that teams don't play in the cold. I'm just wondering how college football will feel about it. But SMU's got to go to Penn State. Should be exciting. Penn State nearly won the Big Ten championship. I mean, had a chance against Oregon.
Well, then we have 7 seed against 10 seed, and that is Indiana and Notre Dame. How do you see that one turning?
Well, and they're not going to break the travel budget. I
guess
I know that India.
They couldn't sneak Purdue in?
From Bloomington to South Bend is probably about 90 minutes in a car. I'm thinking, but no, that. Of all the games, that might be the one I'm most interested in.
It might be
because I've been very critical of Indiana all year, and I probably have come around to accept that they have a pretty nice team. But Notre Dame also hasn't lost since I think since it was summer.
No, they
officially on the calendar.
Lost to Northern Illinois or someplace.
Yeah, Northern Illinois the second week, a big upset there, and then they've been marching pretty hard since then. So that's probably the game that's got my most curiosity. Ohio State, Tennessee ought to be as you like to call it, a lip ripper.
Yeah, they're going to go at.
This is going to be played at Ohio State again. Could be in very cool temperatures. I said that's the second one of the most excitement, and of course, Ohio State, Tennessee. The winner gets Oregon, so we could see Ohio State, Oregon in a quarterfinal game.
Well, and like Boise Cascade is either going to get Penn State or SMU, and Arizona State will get Clemson or Texas, and Oregon will snatch on to Ohio State or Tennessee.
How do you feel about Arizona State? Did they show themselves legit by creaming Iowa State last week?
I'll tell you what, they got this fullback that looks just a little bit like a Sherman tank. And
Scattaboo or Scattaboo?
Scattaboo. And he is just a chunk. And, at first I thought, they're going to have to control this guy. Iowa State did not. And when you have a running machine like that and your offensive line is producing like it was, it was hard, and I was surprised. I kind of thought that Iowa State was going to have a shot at these guys, but Scattaboo came right at you and kept on coming. You know, when I saw his mom and dad up there, and I looked at Dad and I thought, well, at least I know where he got his cranium at. I mean, these guys, Scattaboo was born to play this game, and if you don't mind getting hurt once in a while, you get to play with them.
Georgia, Texas was a pretty good. I didn't get to watch much of Oregon, Penn State because I went to bed. That's another story for another show. But I did get to watch a good share of Texas, Georgia, and that one was worth the price of admission.
Well,
so to speak.
I think it will be, and you know, and so I think that the SEC is really trying to. We are the finest conference. Everybody knows we're the finest conference. That other conference up there, whatever their name is, they're not. We are, and they're going to go from there. And it's just like, they've been thumping each other for a long time, and this was one of those thumping games. And so, but Texas was supposed to win it, and didn't work out. So.
Yeah, those types of games is when they get that good.
They're that close.
They're that close.
They're that close.
They're that close. Well, they finish up the FCS. I'm predicting that all three of the teams from our area will win at home tomorrow. And Mankato's at Valdosta State, or is it Valdosta? Valdosta State. That's in Division 2. They reseeded the teams after the regionals were done. And Mankato's the number 4, so they get number 1 Valdosta, and then Ferris State versus Slippery Rock. Okay.
Slippery Rock.
Division 3.
That's in Pennsylvania somewhere.
I don't want to get in trouble with your wife over there, but the Johnnies, they peed one away last weekend.
Yeah, I'm amazed that they do that, but once in a while.
Anyway, Bethel is still in Division 3, and they get to play Susquehanna.
Oh, you see, that's in Pennsylvania.
You don't get to say Susquehanna very often, and they're playing at Amos Alonzo Stadium.
I wanted to name my son Amos Alonzo, but my
you got outvoted 1-1.
Yeah, that wasn't Amos Alonzo Stagg. I love that name, and of course he was the grandfather of modern football.
So a lot of playoff football going on, along with bowls getting started, which has got Georgia, and then Army Navy. I mean, and we haven't even scratched the pro game yet.
No.
How about those Vikings in the fourth quarter last week?
Well, they weren't too bad, and all of a sudden our friend Big Sammy, he is on NFL Offensive Player of the Week, and he got 5 touchdowns. He sent Kirk Cousins home packing, and they put the thumbs to him.
I'm a little disappointed the Vikings fan booed Cousins so badly. Come on. He gave us 6 good years.
No, I've got nothing the matter with him, and I tell you, it's like,
I understand that's what
this.
you do.
It's an 11-man game.
Yeah.
And it's just, and all of a sudden, and I have to congratulate the Vikings a little bit for, even though the problems they've had with the offensive line with injuries and stuff, they have kept them in the mix. And they got 11 wins, and they've got I don't know what they're going to do with the Bears on Monday night, a Monday night game this week, guys. So, but we'll see what happens. But they could be, they're going to get a playoff. They're going to get a playoff spot somewhere along the line. Hard for them not to.
I had a horrible feeling on Sunday when Kirk took the Falcons straight down the field and scored a touchdown, and I'm like,
yeah,
this is going to get ugly. This is going to get bad, fast, quick. And the Vikes hung in there. It was, 7-7 at the half?
Yeah.
Something like that. Eli was playing a hockey game at the same time, so I'm like watching the hockey game during his shift and then walk out into the lobby and watch a little bit of the game. And then, so it was a little bit of a back and forth. But, it was, they showed themselves well. They can wrap up a playoff spot with a win on Monday night.
5 touchdowns between 2 receivers. And the tight ends, I'm telling you, these tight ends, they're 2 of the best tight ends in the league, and they're making everything wide open on the.
And I don't think Aaron Jones fumbled the ball, so his mom chewing him out worked. Thanks, Mom.
Mothers have an effect. Thanks, Mom, for sure. And you were right.
What about this Devondre Campbell controversy?
Well,
did you watch the game last night?
No, I didn't watch it, but I caught it first thing, and the 49ers cut him today.
I would assume so.
Yeah. He's all done with the 49ers, and
Who would want to pick somebody up that when?
I also know that he's a man under some pretty intense personal pain right now. He lost a daughter not too long ago.
Oh, I did not know that.
And I think that's.
Well, and I know they were working somebody back into the lineup
Yeah.
who had been out, and so his time was.
He's what 7-8 years in the league, Minnesota boy, by the way. I kept on thinking, what would make a man of that caliber? Because he's an all-pro type guy.
Yeah.
And what would make him walk off? Because that's just not done. And then that came up about his daughter, and I thought, there's goes
Well,
man.
the head coach and the teammates were not very forgiving last night.
No, they were not.
Rams beat the Niners 12-6 in a rainstorm. The Rams are 8-4, George.
I know they are, and they're something. They're not bad either.
Well, when the Vikings beat them week 4, lost to them in week 4, excuse me, in the controversial Thursday night game, did the face mask and the whole 9 yards. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, we lost to the Rams." And now they're 8-4, and now we're not feeling maybe quite so bad about that
On
loss.
top of that, you got to remember they got a pretty good offense. They got some really good offensive linemen. The defense
And they
is
lost their
pretty
best
solid
defensive tackle maybe in the history of the game.
that I've ever seen. Yeah.
Some big games this week. Dolphins at Texans.
Yes.
The Dolphins are trying to stay in the wild card hunt. They got no chance at the division.
No.
But the Texans have everything to play for. The Colts are right on their tails at 6-7. So they want to make sure that they get the division. The Colts are at the Broncos. The Broncos are 8-5. Kansas City clinched last week. 9th straight AFC West title. I mean, it's like clockwork now.
Yeah, we can see all kinds of cracks in that team. It's just that nobody else can. So I'm not sure if that's ever going to happen.
So the Broncos trying to stick in it. Chargers are 8-5, so now you got 2 teams in the AFC West that are 8-5. They're trying to stay in the wild card hunt. The Buccaneers play at, and that's who I believe that the Vikings will play in the first round of the playoffs.
There's not a division there that comes close to the North Division. I mean, we've got 3 teams in that division that could break the whole thing. And the second, I mean, how many wins does Tampa have? 6? 7.
7 and 6.
And so and they will get a higher seed than the Vikings.
They would get. That's what I'm saying. They'd get the home game. We'd have to travel to Tampa. The way things are looking right now, that's the way it could be. 2 games, and these are the 2 headliners of the weekend. Bills at Lions.
Yeah.
10-3 versus 12-1. 22 combined wins. And
Could it be a good one?
Could be a great one. Steelers at Eagles. The battle of the Keystone State, Pennsylvania. The Steelers have not won in Philadelphia since 1965, I heard today.
Do you think Watt can control Barkley?
Not by himself, but
No, not by himself.
But no, that's good. It's going to be that game probably goes 31-30.
Yeah.
Something in that vicinity. I mean, it's going to be close. It's going to be a good game. Do I want Saquon Barkley to break Eric Dickerson's record? I guess that's my question.
After he jumped over that guy backward, I'm thinking,
Why not, huh?
Because I never saw Dickinson do that, and I watched him play a lot of football games. In fact, I never see anybody do that.
Eric Dickerson was a glider.
I never even thought, when I saw him and first saw him interviewed, and I thought, this is the finest running back in football. And then he'd play, and he just looked like he wasn't doing anything. And a halftime thing, he'd have 90 yards. Second half, he'd have 250 and 4 touchdowns. I mean, he was just an incredible running back.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Scary stuff.
He could play on my team. Yeah.
So, of course, there's 4 weeks left in the NFL season, and we'll just keep hanging in there. Wait, is there 5 weeks? This
5
week
weeks
14.
left.
5 weeks left. Oh, my God.
5 weeks. Yeah, we got a ways to go yet, and also the Vikings got to play Detroit one more time.
You got to play in the Motor City. Go out there and upset them there.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think that Detroit defense is hurting. They've been hurting for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, and you were telling me that you thought maybe the offensive line is a little beat up.
I sat around and watched Big Frank miss a block, and that's Frank Ragnow, this offensive center. In all the years I've watched him, I've never seen him do that. Now, the guy that he was playing against really shot the gap well, but I think he's got a real bad foot, and I read somewhere that he has a toe that's a problem, and it's a great big one, and this is no small thing for an offensive lineman. This is
You got grip right in with your toes every play.
every play, and I saw him, oh my Lord, he missed a block, and I'm thinking, he's probably hurting, and there's no surgical thing, nothing they can do for this. He's just going to have to live with the pain, and it's that's tough to do.
That's tough to do.
Considering he's one of the best offensive linemen in the league. So yeah, I just know that the defense isn't doing as well as it should. On the other hand, the offense is playing top shelf.
Yep. All right, where do you want to move to next? What's your feeling? Where you want to go?
Well, let's just pass over a little bit here. The Wild took a nap last night.
Ooh. If anybody can explain a 7-1 loss on your home ice to Edmonton, the only way I can explain it, and I'm hoping that this is going to do it, you just came home from a road trip where you played in Anaheim, LA, Utah. You got off the plane, you had to stay up late and decorate the Christmas tree or something. Because they started with Gustafson, I believe, and when I got home, Fleury was in the net, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
Well, and it just, I mean, I was watching the highlights, and it's just like, whoa, and it's just, they were.
And a couple of the goals were a little, you can't blame on the goalie. They hit somebody out front, and they changed directions, but most goals, tied for the most goals given up by the Wild. But they're still number one in the NHL.
Number one in the league, and they're playing really well. And Krizov is having just an incredible year from an incredible career. It's just
they're talking. I mean, they started the MVP talk because that's what sells papers.
Yeah.
Let's see him get through to the break. No All-Star game this year because they got the Four Nations tournament going on.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens around March 1. Is he still cruising, or is other teams figured out how to try to corral?
That's when the wheat starts coming away from the shaft. There's no two ways about it. And the springtime is they want to get the season over and they want to win the big gun. So it's
put the game last night in the rearview mirror and move on. And Middleton got hurt last.
Middleton got hurt. Yeah.
That only played one shift last night. He's been kind of the straw that stirs the drink. He's kind of the guy in the locker room that seems to have things going on. So
he brings some energy to the picture, doesn't he?
Well, he's got no teeth, so he's got to do something. Jeez. A face only a mother could love.
Only a mother could love.
Jeez. All kinds of mother references. Anyway. What's next? You want to stay with basketball?
Yeah,
let's you wrote. I saw you down on the bottom. You had the Notre Dame women beat UConn last night.
They did, and that was a big one. Yeah.
Did you watch?
No, I caught the tail end of it, and I got the highlights today.
Well, I woke up in the middle of the night because I'm not feeling good, and so I was trying to whatever myself. So I turned on SportsCenter at 4:00 this morning, and they went on about this Notre Dame game for like 4 minutes. I'm like, something great must have happened.
Yeah.
Well, Notre Dame's like 6th in the nation or 7th or whatever they are, and UConn's 2. And this Hidalgo girl, she kept dropping 3-pointers in, but I don't know. They must be their new superstar.
No,
ESPN.
do I got a question? Is Paige going to go to the draft next spring? And if she does, do the Lynx have a chance to get her?
None.
Just thought I'd bring it up
because they had the lottery, and I don't even remember who won it. Anyway,
okay,
we'll see. I mean, obviously, it depends upon what kind of season, but I would say she's the prohibitive number 1 pick. I don't see anybody else out there. She had 25 points last night, and she got one highlight.
Yeah,
one highlight, and there was 12 for Notre Dame or 13, and I'm like, what's ESPN's thing here? UConn is like 4 steps from the UConn campus, and they're like, I don't know. Of course, it doesn't help that the UConn men's basketball team can't win anyway. anyway.
No, the Gopher women won a game, but they lost. They lost Taylor Woodson, and that's a big loss.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
Girl came home and blows out the knee in the game the other night, in a game that I don't want to say meaningless.
Pretty
but,
much.
After they got whooped by Nebraska on, what was that, Saturday, Sunday in the Big Ten opener. Yeah, it is. Hey, you play sports, it can happen.
Yeah.
So, could happen in a big game, could happen in a small game. So, but that one's going to be tough. Now you got two big horses that are out for the Gopher women, and it was going to be tough sledding the way it was in the Big Ten. And I mean, UCLA's number one, for heaven's sakes. Come on. When did UCLA women's basketball become so good?
I don't know. Maybe after the men quit. I got a name for you.
Throw a name.
Roki Sasaki.
Nope. Give me.
He is the number one recorded Japanese pitcher from they says he's the number one attraction since Otani, and the Twins have a shot at him.
How?
I don't know, and
We don't have any money.
I don't know what a shot means.
We don't have any money. How we don't have a we don't even have a shot at him.
Coming on. They can get him. You know what they can get him for? $8 million. A measly $8 million. Measly. That was in the paper today, and I just thought, boy, he would probably be just 23 years old. He is just.
I would think it would be $8 million well spent, but what's going to make him come to Minnesota?
I don't know.
Do we have some great Japanese restaurants and what? I don't know. What do you have to do to attract a guy from Japan? I mean, he wants to go someplace big. So what does that mean? I mean, Juan Soto signed for $765 million.
$765 million now.
$51 million a year, and he said the agent said it was the most attention he's had for a player. And they basically said there were only 5 teams he was picking: New York, L.A., Boston, and Toronto. Oh, what do those 5 teams have? Well, those are the 5 biggest markets, just about right there. So Houston would maybe fit into that. How do the even the Cubs and the White Sox couldn't whatever, and they're in one of the biggest markets.
I know.
So what are we doing?
I know you got a math degree, and so does my wife, and neither one of you guys can explain to me how anybody could make that much money throwing baseballs, and it's just that's really pretty amazing. But people are going to go out there and watch them do it.
They are going to go watch them play baseball.
Yes, they are.
The Mets will be all over it, just like they were all over their team this spring because they had signed whoever, and the Mets will fall flat on their face again because that's what the Mets do. Thank you. Sorry, everybody
That's what the
who
Mets
are
do.
Mets fans.
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
What was that 67
I
or
just got to take a peek over my shoulder and see where this is at. Okay. Anyway, Penn State and Marquette are on, and Marquette stayed in the match and won the third set, 26-24. So, of course, Penn State's in the Big Ten. We'd like to see them win, right?
Well, that's right.
Anyway, we want to talk a little. Should we talk volleyball?
We can talk a little volleyball.
So anyway, yesterday, meaning Thursday now, in case you're watching this like Tuesday night at 3 in the morning because you're sick and can't sleep or something. God bless you for watching if you are. Anyway, Kentucky, who beat Minnesota last week, kind of convincingly. I don't want to say it was one-sided,
3-1.
but Anyway, they get Pittsburgh. That's that Saturday at 4 o'clock. Pittsburgh's the number 1 seed. And then the 6:30 matchup, Stanford. I don't know how Stanford's the number 2 seed, but they are. They get number 1 Louisville. Another lip ripper. That one's probably going 5 sets. So
how's Nebraska fit into that?
Well, they play today now. They get Dayton today. This is a round of 16, a Sweet 16 game. They get Dayton at 8:30 tonight. Wisconsin gets Texas A&M at 6 o'clock. And, of course, Texas, the 2-time defending champion, got beat this afternoon by Creighton.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, we got beat by Creighton. So, Penn State.
That's kind of an upset.
That is a big upset. Yeah. So, we'll see how everything pans out and plays out from here. But it ought to be an exciting weekend of volleyball. And, of course, the Final Four is next weekend. And I'm not sure where it's even being played. I didn't look. because I'm not going, so
No, I'm not
it doesn't
either.
matter to me where they're
Probably
playing.
Texas somewhere. They
So, but yeah, so Big Ten still has 3 teams left, and we'll see if they can get a couple of them to the Final Four, so we have something to cheer for. Although Nebraska has been incredible all year long. I mean,
They have. They
So.
have.
Okay.
I just want to bring up a couple of things before we leave. Before we leave the Vikings.
Geez, sorry. Yeah.
Julian Redmond, defensive tackle. He's back and he's starting and he's playing pretty well. Dallas Turner is coming along, and Andrew Van Ginkel, he's kind of hurt.
Okay.
So I think Dallas Turner.
Well, he dropped it. He could have had another pick 6 last week. How did he drop it? I'm kidding.
I'm not sure. I mean, this guy is just utterly amazing. He runs. He plays the run as well as as the pass. No, he's a great football player.
When he jumped up and tipped the ball, I'm like, he's going to do it again.
Yeah.
Oh. He didn't do it again.
No, but he's an awfully good time to watch, and I grab his number right off and keep an eye on it. But I'm glad to see that Dallas Turner's coming along.
I think
is an all-pro kid someday, and I think he's going to get some play time before the end.
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
year.
Dallas Turner is starting to get it a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe I think maybe what the Vikings were asking him to do. We talk about how complex it is, the scheme and everything else, and it took him some time to get there.
I watched. There was a kickoff, and Dallas Turner got the tackle, and he got off the ball carrier, and right next to him was C.J. Hams, starting fullback and Viking veteran, and he was down there. He had the leg, and it's just like, C.J., you've always played football that way, and it's just it's amazing that when you watch them, and I'm going to tell you, and you know this, it really is, and the coaches said, it's the little things, it's the little things, it's the little things. It's the little things, and it really is.
Yeah.
And you watch Dallas Turner come off on his really good rush, you just think, ooh,
He's fast.
how would you block that?
Better have your feet moving.
Better have your feet
You
moving.
better
Yeah.
have a good lockout.
Yeah. So I'm
Make sure you
looking
get those thumbs turned up. You see that?
get the subs up in there. Absolutely. The Vikings are looking good. I think they're going to be fun to watch, and let's see if they can knock off the Lions, because I think right now they can.
Well, the scary part about that is how does that put everything else into perspective? If they do beat the Lions and we're tied at the end, well, they would won. We'll have 1-1. Now you got to go to division record. Now how you play against everybody else, the Bears. That's why tomorrow night's game or Monday
Big
night's game is pretty big. You can't lose to the Bears.
Yeah.
How about your Timberwolves?
The Wolves.
They get the LeBron-less LA Lakers
Yeah,
tonight.
they're not playing, but they're 6.5 games behind. They're 12 and 11 on the season, and like I say, they're
playing
behind
better.
Oklahoma and Denver, and it's they're going to have to pick up one of those teams.
They're playing better though since
I think they are.
since the Anthony Edwards talk.
I keep on reading in the paper about a Timberwolf chat. Apparently, they go on. Is this the same chat that we have?
I don't think so.
Okay, I was just wondering.
That's the way I kind of read it. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, geez, what is this? And then I think it's just that they sit down and have a little fireside chat every once in a while to make sure we're airing our differences, because apparently we'd gotten to a spot where we didn't trust one another.
Well, you can't do that.
You got to be able to trust one another.
Not be a championship team. No, you're absolutely right. And and I read one comment where you have to quit making the transition from cat.
Yeah.
And it's just right now, you just got to go play basketball.
Yeah,
And so they're.
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily was not so much a transition from cat. It was learning how to play with your new teammates.
With your new teammates. Well, that was
Yeah,
what they were.
referencing. We
Yeah.
didn't need a cat reference in there though.
Well, he brought on a different meaning to that team.
He did.
And
Thank God he grew up towards the end.
well, on top of that, anytime, and you know this, you lose a good athlete, it's an opportunity for a kid to come up and get some work. And that's, I never wanted to see a teammate playing ahead of me get hurt because there were teammates and all the rest of that. But when that happens, you better be ready to jump in and do the job. And if you can do the job better than he did, then you get to keep it.
That's right. I see you got Gopher Hockey written on there.
I didn't know if I wanted to bring that up before or after you left, but they're playing Michigan State tonight, and
Number 1 versus number 3 in the
number
nation.
1 and number 3.
Gophers are a scary hockey team. They played, they were ranked number 4 last week, taking on number 6 Michigan.
Yeah, and then they rubbed them out.
And I think they shut them out both games. It was
did.
6-0 on Friday night. I watched a little bit of that. Minnesota's playing well. Motzko's got them going in the right direction. Never doubted that Motzko would do that with Minnesota. He did it at St. Cloud State. But it seems when you look at Minnesota, and I keep saying this, they're not only fast, they're big and fast.
They're big and fast. And they
It's
have
tough.
more. They got more pro contracts than the team you can stake a shillelagh at. What's UMD doing this weekend?
I believe UMD is off of this weekend. I think
Okay.
they're off until they play at Bemidji State on New Year's Eve day.
Ooh.
I think they are off until then. I could be wrong on that. I didn't look it up because I thought that they had 3 weekends off in a row. But they went to Arizona State last week.
Did
And
you get a suntan or?
they got beat Friday night pretty handily, and then got beaten overtime on Saturday. So Arizona State, you told me, is one of the top teams in the NCHC. So
Yeah, I mean, just where did they recruit that bunch? I knew it wasn't from the desert.
well, a lot of kids from California, I think.
They
on
do,
that team.
and you know, and
California's
out
got
of
a
that,
lot.
there's been more than one NHL hockey player that's played on cement on rollerblades. That's
Yeah, absolutely.
they pretty much do the same thing.
Well, you know, when you start putting these kinds of things up in the houses, you know that's also that very special time of the year that the World Dart Championships start on Sunday.
Oh, boy.
In London
What time?
at the Ali Pally. Well, you know, them being 6 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
That means it'll start about noon on Sunday, and I'll probably skip the first week of it. Not because I probably would get a whole month, but when school's going on, it's really tough
I
to try.
remember watching it when we were doing a show at the same
See,
time.
now that's different. See, when you're getting down to the brass tacks of it, so they start with 96 players.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, they've got the champion from, and I'm no offense to any country out there, if anybody's whatever, but they got the champion from Madagascar playing the champion from wherever. Okay. Well, these two guys, God bless their souls, they're probably the best dart player in their country, but they can't compete against the big dogs.
No.
So these guys get up there on the stage and they get to be in front of the big crowd at the Alexandra Palace, the Ali Pally in London, and they get to go and get up on the big stage with about 4,000 people screaming and singing and hollering and drinking and everything else. And so I'll probably skip the first week. I'll keep an eye on it on my phone with the results. But
Can't believe you're not in over there singing and dancing and drinking and watching darts.
someday, George, maybe just to
Okay.
say that
Well, there you are.
I went. That'd be a great Christmas present.
Yeah, it would be a
wouldn't it?
great, outstanding.
Little Boxing Day darts type thing over there.
Yeah, where'd that Boxing Day? Where'd you go? London.
Yeah, it's coming around. So next weekend, you get DAZN, Dazen, I think, however.
Yeah.
So everything goes on the phone, and we'll watch some darts, and we'll see how the craziness goes. I don't watch darts all year long. Like I said, I kind of keep an eye on it, but I'm whatever. It's just one of those holiday Christmas things. You get up darts start at 12:30 London time. That means it's 6:30 here.
You know, he gets a little bit obsessive about this, but the fact of it is, these dart throwers are really good.
They're really
They're,
good.
They just, you watch them
Well,
do that, you just
okay.
think,
So people ask me, why do you watch golf, or why do you watch tennis? I say, have you ever tried golfing? Yeah. I said, is it hard? Yeah. Just look what they can do.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, you ever went out and played tennis? You ever ran around for 4 hours and played tennis? Think about what they do. Obviously, we talk about football, basketball, hockey, the big sports all the time here. But, you know, I mean, I'm not considering dart and athletic because they all kind of look like me. Okay, a little punch, and they like to drink their
it
beers
might not be
afterwards.
athletic, but it is sporting.
But it is sport. They keep
yeah,
score.
They do.
And so go to your local pub or go buy yourself a set of darts and put up a dartboard in your basement or out in the garage or whatever, and then try to go hit that triple 20 3 times
Well,
in a row.
I don't know if it's still popular around town, but there was a time that darts was big time, and they'd be lined up in all the saloons and places to wait their turn, and I always hit somebody in the head with one, but
Like
no,
I said,
there's
if
some
you
good
ever
darts.
go throw a darts, we bought Eli a dartboard last year for Christmas, and we threw darts for a little while. He was a little too small.
Yeah.
Just to where we were at, he's gotten bigger and stronger, and so hopefully maybe over the holiday break we'll get to play some darts and do that. And so, like I said, it's it's a difficult thing to do, and to watch what they can do, where they can change from the 20s and the doubles and the triples and the 19s and everything else, and how incredibly fast they can do the math. Oh my Lord, I love it, because you gotta hit a double to go out. Okay, well if I've got 87, what's my best way? Well, that means you need to hit a triple 15 for 45.
I don't know as we talk about
or whatever.
Ethnic enthusiasm, but the Brits have it.
The Brits.
I mean, they whether it's soccer or rugby or darts or horse racing, they are extremely competitive, and the darts, they're even over the edge. I mean, the people that are in those gigantic rooms, they're having a real good time, and they are not shy. Not one of them.
Come dressed up in your favorite costume, and let's party.
Let's party.
What else you got? Anything?
Let's see here. No, I think I am getting to the end of it, but I wanted to talk about a little local Bronco sports. We've got a hockey team that scored a whole bunch of goals last night.
Well, 2 games, 21 goals, 10-0 last week at Beaver Bray up in Kenora.
Yeah.
11-0 against Moose Lake area last night. Play Kitson County Central tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. If my sources are correct, they could do that. They could hit double digits again, possibly. I'm not trying to whatever, but
were you kind of surprised at that Beaver Bray score?
I was a little surprised because Beaver Bray, they start their hockey like in October.
Yeah.
So they were a little ahead of us. But the coach shared a message that we came up there and we not only beat them on the scoreboard, but we kind of showed them how hockey's supposed to be played. Kind of in that, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but shared it with our coach Chad Baldwin, and that they came up and played the game the right way, and they were going to take a lesson from that.
Who's playing in the goal?
Kane Thompson has played both games.
Kane Thompson, see, and I was wondering about that because he was injured in football.
Well, and sounded like he, that some people were shocked that he was ready to go.
Yeah.
But the fact that the start of the season was delayed as much as it was, it had been, 7 weeks, I think, since he'd gotten hurt, maybe 8. Yeah. And he's a tough kid.
He's a tough
kid. I'm not going to judge either way. He looked good last night to me, what little I've got to watch of the hockey game. So we'll see what happens. The schedule's going to get very busy here for the Broncos coming January and February, because a lot of games early in the season were delayed, postponed. They were supposed to play Wadena on November 23rd. They were supposed to play Lake of the Woods on November 26th. Both those games got moved back into January or February, and the back of the season was already pretty heavy.
Yeah.
And then they were supposed to play Tuesday night at Ely, and Ely came up short of players, so now that game is going to be played on New Year's Eve day at noon in Ely.
What about, and so we got some competition going on with Fort Francis.
Fort Francis next Friday,
okay.
Over there. That's how the switch goes every year. One team gets to host right before the holidays, and then of course they'll get to play again the following Friday in the Winter National Falls Holiday Hockey Tournament.
The Winter National Falls. Now, who's going to be invited into that?
So that tournament, first time that we've had a holiday tournament, we figured, in 27 years.
Wow.
Hard to believe it's been that long.
That used to be a big-time deal up here.
It used to be a big deal.
Yeah.
So we got Fort Francis coming over, and then we've got Bagley, Foston, and Wilmer.
Okay.
And, of course, some of the Bronco purists from the old days think that those two teams probably aren't worthy to be playing here. But let's just say that to find bigger competition, a lot of these teams have been committed to holiday hockey tournaments in Hibbing, Greenway, Roseau, St. Paul, wherever, for years and years. And so to get people to change is a difficult thing. but let's start where we baby step it out here, and we'll try to put on the best show we can.
They don't talk about the small schools like Baudette, Warroad, and Roseau.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just.
And there was discussion about trying to include them, but of course, Warroad and Roseau both have their own.
Yeah.
And we talked about Lake of the Woods, and it was just a decision to go with two teams that I would consider not local.
And the whole idea, I mean, back in the old days, they would have for the kids, they would have a Saturday night dance, and we had Cretan High School was a big one that would come up, and and we had several other cities teams that would come up, and of course we'd go right up to them and say, "Hey guys, you want to dance with my girl?" No, that didn't happen, but they were good kids. They were top shelf kids, and
So like I said, we'll see how it all goes.
Yeah.
And then so there's a spaghetti feed down at the Elks on the Friday. The Friday kind of is the big showcase event.
Okay.
Going to have a skills competition for the 4 teams on Friday starting at noon, and then the spaghetti feed starts at 2:00. And the kids will get to go down there. All the players and teams and coaches will go down there and eat spaghetti. And the public is welcome to come down, throw a few bucks in the pot to help out Purple Pride. And then Friday night, of course, Wilmer and Foston will play against at 5:00 as kind of the setter-upper for the big one, the Muskies and the Broncos. And Deanie Blaze is going to get on. He's our honorary guy. He's going to come out and drop the ceremonial first puck, and so it's going to be a big deal on Friday night.
Can't find better one than that.
And we'll have tournament passes. You can get a button, so you can wear that around and start collecting buttons. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is going to continue to be a yearly thing that we're going to have here in International Falls. If I have anything to say about it, so
I'll have to get a button. Maybe put on a pair of socks and go to an arena.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
I think last night, first home game, a good crowd, not ginormous, but a good crowd. It was rec hockey night, so there are a lot of kids there, which is great. That's how
you got to have them there.
So you got that, but it was a busy night because the boys basketball team got their first win of the season last night over in Baudette. So the boys basketball team was gone. The girls basketball team was playing at home, and they picked up their first win of the season under new head coach Derek Doughty. 28-26 halftime score. I walked away. I came back, 3 minutes had gone off the clock, and we went on a 14-0 run.
Ooh.
And I was just like, maybe we got this game under control, and we did. Almost got it into running time, for heaven's sake. Moved it out to about a 31 or 32-point lead.
I got to tell you this. I mean, I've known him since he was a young lad, and I've got every confidence that Derek Doughty's going to be a success at that job. And he's got that Luke Zika guy. I never had better kids to coach. I just didn't, and they're outstanding teachers besides. So it's good men. I'm real happy about that.
Yeah, and they've been so close. I don't know if you heard about what happened Tuesday night. They were down in Hill City playing Hill City Northland. They lost 52-45. Are you ready? Don't fall out of your chair. We shot 13 for 41 at the free throw line.
Oh,
13 for 41.
Don't tell my wife.
If they'd have got 1 over 50%, they'd have won the game.
Oh,
1 over 50%, and they'd have won the game. 13 for 41. I can't.
This is one of those things where. It's practice, but if you get in a rut of missing and everybody else is shooting at a certain level, you kind of accept that as being the norm, and it's not. The norm's 60%.
Does not have to be.
Yeah.
Does not have to be that way. So,
yeah.
He said the scary part about it, I talked to Derek about it, and he said, the scary part was, game before that, we shot 75% as a team. And then you shoot 30, whatever that works. I think somebody said 37%. I didn't do the math, and I love to do the math, but 13 for 41, I could not do the math. I couldn't. Yeah. Anyway, girls hockey also played last night, so they were out of town. So despite these other teams being out of town, still a good crowd last night, and I suspect tomorrow, Saturday morning, 11 a.m., boys varsity, girls JV at 1 o'clock, and girls varsity at 3 o'clock, and it's Ugly Sweater Day. So wear your ugly sweater to Bronco Arena.
It's all my sweaters, period.
Both teams have bought holiday jerseys.
Oh, really?
So both girls teams are going to be wearing their holiday jerseys. And Santa Claus is, I've been told, going to make an appearance. And as I mentioned, the ugly sweater contest, and there's a bunch of other stuff. The girls have really gotten into this and grasped onto it.
It's so much easier to have kids around the school when they're having fun, isn't it, Gigi?
So,
Yeah.
so anyway, lots of good stuff going on,
That's good,
and
yeah.
everything else.
This
so.
is a good time of the year at high school, and guys, once in a while, grab a book and study. Isn't that right, Gigi? Huh?
And with that, I can't beat that. We'll talk to you guys next week. One final show before Christmas.
Okay.
All right.
See ya. By the way, go Army, beat Navy, or go Navy, beat Army, one or the other, but do one.